Good morning, friends. How many people really love math? All right, I'm gonna ask the question again. How many people really love math? Matt, yes, who loves Matt? Math. All right, that's not a lot of people. After like first grade, when there's like questions about math in my house, where's mom? Where's mom? Where's mom? Where's mom? And if mom's not home, they'll wait till tomorrow. They don't even ask because I'm just not very good at it. And the thing with math is you gotta remember formulas and stuff. It's like a puzzle that you gotta put together. And if you get one thing wrong, the outcome changes entirely, right? And again, like I said, I'm about to be 36. I ain't learning any more math, okay? Like I'm done with it. Like I'm not even gonna try. I'll learn a new language before I learn math. It's just not gonna happen. Don't like math. Again, if you get one thing wrong, the outcome changes entirely. And our faith is a little bit like that too. There are concepts in our Christian faith that are a little bit similar because to misunderstand one thing could change everything. It could change everything. It could change how we believe in God and experience God. It could change how we interact with God and how we interact with other people. One of these concepts that's difficult to understand is the concept of sin. Sin is a word that we hear all the time, but I'm not sure that we really understand what it really means. Anybody heard the word sin recently? Yeah? You probably heard it. You probably read it. And if you're honest, the word sin and how we define it can be pretty subjective. Because what you might call sin, I might say is not really sin at all. What I might think is gross and weird and evil, you might think is just, I can't believe I have this in my notes, but the bee's knees. No one's gonna believe me when I say I'm turning 36 if I say things like the bee's knees, okay? But what you might think is great, I might think is terrible, and vice versa, right? We can have confusion like this. People can have really strong opinions about sin. And on one hand, and I know that all of you have seen this or heard this, we have Christians that seem like they are obsessed with sin, and they use it as a weapon to try and shame people or scare people into following God. And they can paint a picture of God who is mean and angry and vindictive and sort of this monster who wants to punish and inflict pain on people unless you agree with him. Have you ever heard people talk like that about sin, right? You've seen that before? Yeah. On the other hand, there can also be an approach to sin where we use the opposite approach or opposite messaging, which is to say that not only is God not angry and mean, and God doesn't want to punish everybody, but he doesn't really care what you do at all. God is just like, it's just like the way we conduct ourselves or attitudes in the way that we think about other people. God doesn't care anything about that. So sin is not just important at all. It's not even something that we should consider. And if I'm running the marketing department for Jesus or for Christianity, this might be a better sales pitch, right? Because it would maybe draw people in a little bit easier. But the outcome with this approach is just as damaging as the alternative. What if I told you that God is not an angry, vindictive monster, but also he's not careless or aloof? But he does care about sin, and I think I can prove it to you. If we take a look at some of the most popular or most used words in the church person's vocabulary, we can think of a couple here. I just kind of randomly pulled these words out. Love, faith, sin, grace, prayer, worship. These are words that we use all the time in the church. All the time. And if you could guess, when you look at how frequently each of those words are used in the New Testament, which word do you think is used the most? Can we see the next slide? Now, when you look at that list is full of solutions. Love, that's a solution. Faith, that's a solution. Grace, that is a solution. Prayer, worship, those are all solutions. But there's one huge problem in that list, and that problem is sin. And a huge part of the problem with the problem is we don't really know how to define it. What's it mean? We want to say it's breaking the rules, right? Well, it's more than just breaking the rules. In fact, sometimes it can be keeping the rules, or keeping the rules for the wrong reason, or with the wrong heart, or towards the wrong goal. And if we don't understand that, we'll either weaponize sin to harm others, or we'll minimize it to harm ourselves. Does that clear it up for you? Super clear? Ready to go home? I didn't think so. So let's focus on what this word really means. Let's get real clear. In the Greek, which your New Testament is written in Greek, the word sin is the Greek word hamatano. Hamatano. This is the word that we're most frequently interpreting in our English as sin. And it literally means to miss the mark or to be off target, to wander off or go off the path. And so if you go to the shooting range, or if you go axe throwing, or you go backpacking, to miss the intended target or path is to hamatano, sin, to miss the mark. Now that's easy enough to understand in a practical sense, but what does it mean in a spiritual sense? What's the target? How do we know if we're missing the target? Well, think of God as perfect, and perfect in his love, and perfect in his goodness, and he's pure, and he's beautiful, and his love is the target. His perfection, his perfect joy, his perfect hospitality, his perfect mercy and grace, that's the target. And if we can hit that target with our attitudes and actions and desires, then we are going to be our most joyful and satisfied, right? Like, we want to be like God because he's perfect in everything. And wouldn't it be great if we could just be perfect in everything? I think we'd agree that that would be a good, nice, happy space for us. If we could just be perfect in the way that we saw the world and viewed everything, we would just like be so much in tune with God because he's perfect too. That'd be great. That'd be really beautiful. The problem is the target is impossible to hit with any consistency because God is perfect, right? In everything he's perfect. But let's just say we focus on like just one thing. Just like one specific thing for maybe just a day. Like maybe love, right? How long do you think that you could love perfectly? How long do you think you could do that? But remember this, loving perfectly means loving your enemy, and y'all don't even want to have coffee with your enemy, okay? Would you die for your enemy? You can't even like go without talking about them when you see them writing something dumb on Facebook, right? Die for them? I don't think so. It's not gonna happen. So even if we focus just on loving people perfectly for one day, we couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. And there's 100, 1,000, a million other things that we're not even trying to focus on. And so while we're focusing on the one thing, we're gonna screw up everything else. The reality is we miss the mark or target of God's perfect love in ways that we know, but also in ways that we don't know. So if we understand sin in those terms as missing the mark, it would be really hard to deny the fact that we are always and constantly and unfailingly missing the mark. In other words, we are all sinners and we're really good at it. Like, we're really good at sinning. If someone said to you, what's the thing that you're really great at? You should probably just say, sinning. Just let them know. Just let them know. Sinning. I swear I just saw a woman turn to her husband and say, he knows what he's talking about. He's talking about you. Sinning. Pretty good at it. But what does God think about this? What do we do about it? What does he do about it? That's exactly the kind of question that we should wrestle with. It's exactly the kind of question the early Christians wrestled with too. And one of Jesus' closest friends, a man named John, wrote a letter to help clear it up. And so we're going to start a series today from a book called 1 John. And we're going to explore what it means to live in the tension between missing the mark and being met with mercy and grace. Because if sin is really about falling short of God's perfect love, then the question isn't, are we sinners? The question is, how does God's love meet us in our failure and help us through it? How does God's love meet us in our failure and help us through it? And that's the heart of this series, Sacred Threads. It's about how honesty, love, and truth and wisdom are all woven together, and how God's love doesn't unravel when we fall short. So let's talk about this book and its author, John, just for a few seconds. John was Jesus' best friend. Best friend. He wasn't just some distant follower. He wasn't a secondhand source. He was Jesus' best friend, part of Jesus' inner circle. John was there for the miracles. John was there for the healings. John was there for the conversations. John was there for the suffering. John was the only disciple who was with Jesus as he was being crucified. But he's also a witness to Jesus' resurrection. So when John talks about who Jesus is, and when he talks about a concept that's hard to understand, like sin, he's not guessing. He's writing from experience, and he leans right into this as we begin reading in 1 John chapter 1, verse 5. This is the message we have heard from him and declare to you. This is the message we've heard from Jesus and declare to you. John is saying, I've been around Jesus since the beginning, so you can trust me. What I'm about to tell you is legit. God is light. In him, there is no darkness at all. If we claim to have fellowship with him and yet walk in darkness, we lie and do not live out the truth. John is saying that God is nothing but pure light. Like, for example, this room, okay? It's pretty bright in here, right? Don't worry, we're going to get some dimmers. You know, we got a lot of projects going on. Dimmers is on the list, okay? But if you go, let's just say, for example, this very bright room, if you're here on a Wednesday, when we play our bingo here, and it's 9:30, okay? If you're in this room It's full of light. It's very bright. But if you go in that room over there, it's dark. You're not going to be able to see what you're doing. You're not going to be able to see in front of you. You're not going to be able to see, what's on the ground. You're not going to know where you're going. This room is bright, and that room is dark. And if you're in that room at 9:30 p.m. on a Wednesday, you might be in the vicinity of light. You might be close to the light or near the light, but the light is actually in the next room, so you are not in the light. This is what John's saying. God illuminates. God guides a path. God brings light. And if we do not see our feet and our steps we're unsure of our steps and we don't know where we're going, then our lives are not illuminated by that light. And if that's the case, we're not in the same space as God. If we're stumbling around, we can't see our feet, we don't know what's in front of us, we are in darkness. But if we walk in the light, as he is in the light, we have fellowship with one another. Notice how it says one another. Who do you think the one another is? It's not us. It's God. Right? If you walk in the light, we actually have fellowship with the creator of the universe. Think about that for a minute, right? When we walk in the light, we have fellowship with one another. That means me and God, you and God. We get that fellowship with God. If we are walking in his light, we have fellowship with him. We are connected with him. We are in relationship with him. And that's really pretty. It's really poetic and it's beautiful, but I feel like it's a little ambiguous. Maybe it doesn't quite give us any instruction, because I'm sure there are a lot of people who really believe very strongly that they're walking in the light, but are they? And that's not for me to decide. I don't know. But is it possible that maybe we think that we are, but then we're not? But then there are other people who just have a poor sense of self-worth, and maybe they think that they're walking in darkness, but they're not. So how do we know? How can we tell if we're really walking in darkness or the light? How do we know? Do you wonder? Do you ever wonder? Where am I walking? Where am I going? Do you ever wonder? John tells us, if we claim to be without sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us. If we claim that we don't miss the mark, we're lying to ourselves. Because everybody knows we miss the mark, right? But if we claim that we don't, we're lost. John says, listen, if you want to walk in the light, you just got to start by being honest about your limitations and your shortcomings. You have to be honest that without the light, you wouldn't know where you're going. Just be honest. Tell God that you need him, that you can't do it on your own, that you are constantly missing the mark. And he's not going to be surprised by this, because he already knows. He just wants you to be honest. Is that asking a lot? I don't think it is. It's the same thing that we ask in all of our relationships. I always tell my kids that if you just be honest, if you've made a mistake and you messed up, just be honest. Because if you're honest, we can work it out. We can start to heal. We can fix it. But if you're not honest, our relationship will not have a firm foothold. Our relationship will not have any foundation. So just be honest about your need and your limitation and how you miss. The problem is, this is really, really, really difficult for us. Have you ever had a disagreement with someone and I was going to say they, but you just could not apologize? Like, you knew you were wrong, but you just couldn't say, I'm sorry. Why do we do that? Why do we like that? I know why I'm like that. We feel like we got a lot to lose, right? Because I feel like I'm pretty smart. And I know some stuff. And most of the time, I'm right. And so if I apologize to you, I'm going to lose something. Because maybe if I say I'm sorry, you won't trust me next time. You won't think that I know what I'm talking about. You won't think that I'm someone that you can ask a question to. You won't think that maybe I'm a person who has some insight. So if I say I'm sorry, I stand to lose too much, so I don't want to do it. We don't apologize because we are insecure, right? We're insecure. We're afraid we're going to lose something. In fact, it's kind of a surprise when people do apologize, right? My little boy, Judah, he has figured this whole thing out, okay? Because what'll happen is you'd be like, Judah, why did you just throw that car at my TV and like 3 pixels are now out on that TV I just bought, right? Why did you do that? He'd be like, sorry, Dad. Like this kid says he's sorry at the drop of a hat, and you're like, oh, that's probably fine. The TV's broken. It's probably fine. He just apologized. In fact, should I tell this story? I'm going to tell the story. A couple weeks ago, after Pastor Brian was here, we had a little thing for him at my home, and Andrea was working, so I had to do all the cleaning, right? And there's many boys in my house, and if you have many boys, you know what that means when it comes to the bathroom, okay? So I had to scrub the toilet, behind the toilet, the baseboards in the bathroom, you know what I'm saying, okay? And about 10 minutes before everyone, showed up, I went in the bathroom, and you know what I found in the bathroom? Well, let me just say, Judah had used the bathroom. And when Judah went into the bathroom, I'm gonna just show you, you're gonna have to use your imagination. Here's what he did. You know what I'm getting at here, okay? Right? And I was so mad. And I knew who it was. And I said, Judah, what did you do? Sorry, Dad. All right, then. It's a surprise when people apologize. They just don't do it because we are insecure. We feel like people are going to take advantage of us when we apologize. They're going to step on us. We're going to lose credibility. They're going to press us. They're going to use it against us. And maybe we feel like that with God. If I tell God, here's where I'm missing. God, I need your help in this. We feel like God is gonna, if we just, he already knows, but if we just say it, we feel like he's gonna bury us and we're gonna feel guilty and full of shame. But John says, don't worry about that. God ain't like that. In verse 9, he says, if we confess our sins, he is faithful and just and will forgive us our sins and purify us from all unrighteousness. In other words, if you are honest with God, he's going to embrace you, not embarrass you. He's going to invite you in, not kick you out. He's going to scoop you up, not push you down. But when we deny something that is so clear that we are constantly missing the mark or the target, it's impossible for us to exist in any sort of relationship with him. It's just impossible. And you can understand that, right? You can understand how that works. You have the same requirements in your friendships. Now imagine, everyone's got like a best person, right? Like closest relationship, like your person. Okay, everyone's got someone like that. And maybe they say to you, hey, it's really hard for me to say this to you, but there's this thing that I see that you're doing, and it's causing hurt for me, and it's causing a fracture in our relationship. And it's really bad for you too. And I see you doing this thing all the time. And it's hard for me to say it, but I'm bringing it up. And you know how hard it is to bring it up, and I'm finally doing it. And maybe we can work on this. And what if you said to them, I don't know what you're talking about? And they might say, well, wait a minute. Like just this morning is when you did the thing. And you've been doing it. And it's awful. And I can see what it's doing. I'm just asking you. And you're like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Eventually, you know what they're going to say to you? Are you calling me a liar? You can't exist in a relationship like that. It's the same deal with God. If we claim we have not sinned, we make him out to be a liar, and his word is not in us. We have to be honest with God about who we are. We have to be honest about our misses and our failures. Because when we are honest, it invites him into the process of healing. Write this down. When we stop pretending, God begins healing. When we stop pretending, God begins healing. Okay, so we're honest with God. And that means we got, now we're honest. So now it's time to follow the rules, right? Like this is how we're kind of wired, right? Okay, I'm honest. Now give me the rules to follow so I can know where I'm going. Pay close attention to what John says in verse 7. If we walk in the light as he is in the light, we have fellowship with one another. Remember, that's between me and God, each of us and God. If we walk in the light, okay, walk in the light. Doesn't that mean follow the rules, right? Like I gotta okay, now it's time to be moral and behave myself. I gotta walk in the light. Is that what it means? Now, I want you to notice that John says walk in the light, not according to the light. Now that's significant, and I'm going to help you understand why it's significant. Imagine that you are lost in the woods. And some of you are like, I'm just never going to go in the woods because going in, that sounds terrible to be lost in the woods. It happens all the time, right? Imagine you're lost in the woods, and it's dark, and you don't have your cell phone on you. You don't have, a headlamp. Chase over here has got 13 flashlights on him at all times, I promise you that. He's like, lost in the woods, as if. But let's say you're not Chase, and you're in the woods, and you're lost. And you don't have 13 headlamps. If you don't have a light, you're not going to know where you're going. But maybe you see a light out there. And you think maybe that light out there is like in the direction of where your car or your campsite or civilization might be. And so you start walking towards that light. And what you're going to notice, of course, is the light way out there is not illuminating anything around here, right? So you might see that light over there, but it could be 3 miles away, but you're still stumbling and branches are still hitting you in the face, and then you start wondering, well, is that really where my car is at? And what if what if there's a canyon between me and that light? Are you really sure you can even follow it? Are you ever gonna make it? Is that really where safety's at? Or am I just getting my hopes up? A lot of people think that following Jesus means chasing a distant light that's far away because there's some unreachable standard of holiness always just out of reach. And you're squinting through the dark, and you're stumbling, and you're frustrated and wondering, what if I can't get it right? Why do I keep falling short? Am I ever going to get there? God doesn't ask you to do that. God doesn't ask you to do that. That's why he doesn't say, walk according to the light you see in the distance. Instead, he says, walk in the light, because God is not ahead of you sending you a signal. He's beside you holding a lantern. So you aren't lost at all. You'll always be on the path to home. You're not trying to reach the light. The light is walking with you, ahead of you, around you, above you, beneath you, beside you. That's who Jesus is. He's the companion right beside you, illuminating every step on the path. If you walk in the light as he is in the light, we will have fellowship with one another. So walking in the light is never about following rules. It's never about never missing the mark. It's about being honest about your need for him. And this brings you into the light because you're asking him for relationship. You're asking him to heal the things that you can't see and that you can't fix. This brings you into the light. The honesty brings you into the light. And since light illuminates, we see on one hand just how broken we are, just how frequently we mess up, but also just how big God's love is. Because if he can love me through all the stuff that he can see, his love must be incomprehensibly big. So this light, it helps us see ourselves better. And it also helps us to see others better too. Because if I'm aware of how much I miss the mark, and I'm aware how much God still loves me even though I'm constantly missing the mark, if I'm aware of all that, doesn't it mean he loves the people out there that I feel so angry with? The people that I just can't stand? Doesn't God have the same compassion for them? And if I'm so good at missing the mark, and man, I'm good at it, isn't it kind of hard for me to be mad at them? Don't they deserve the same compassion and love that God has given me? Don't they deserve the same compassion and love that God has given you? Can we really hold others in contempt when we are ultimately all the same? When you turn on the news or you watch the TV and certain people or certain faces just make you angry, are you really so different? And the same God that loves you loves them too. And the same mistakes that you are making constantly, they are making too. So we're all on the same path, needing the same grace. And this is the mindset I'm trying to develop as I get older. As I've reached the age of 36. I'm trying to be really honest about who I am, so I can see others with a more graceful and compassionate heart. And what I'm finding is that the more honest I am with God about me, the more I go to him and ask him to show me, the more I feel his love for me, and the more I'm able to love others, and the easier it is then to walk on target. Again, I'm not chasing rules. I'm not chasing morality. I don't wake up every morning and say, God, I want to behave myself today. I wake up and I say, Jesus, this is who I am. Thank you for loving me. And because you love me, I can love back. And since I can do that, I can start walking well. I'm not trying to be good. I'm not trying to be moral. I'm not even trying to stay on the path. It's just gonna happen as an outpouring of his love and mercy and grace for me. I'm asking God to heal my broken parts, and he's leading me with his light into deeper love, and that keeps me on the path. It keeps me more on target, and that feels pretty good, I'll be honest, right? Just to know that you're doing pretty good. But what happens is sometimes you feel like you're doing pretty good, and darn it, this always happens. You feel like you're doing pretty good. You actually feel like you're pretty special because you're doing pretty good. Man, I'm such a good Christian. I'm such an amazing professional religious person. I'm doing so good. I should give someone some advice today, right? I should maybe put a little blog on the internet. I should take a picture with my coffee cup and my Bible. You didn't know that was a thing that we do for professional religious people? Maybe I put a commentary next to it, I quote someone who's dead, some famous person. But when I start doing that, you know what's gonna happen? Every time it happens, I screw it up. I screw it up. I say something dumb, I do something dumb, I find an idol in my life that I'm gonna love more than Jesus, and it always takes me to a place I don't wanna go. Or I do something that's incredibly unloving and hurtful to someone I love. And this will go on, and sometimes it'll take me a minute to figure it out. It doesn't happen right away. But when I realize it, when I realize that I've fallen and I'm off the path, I feel crushed. I just feel crushed because the reality is I want to honor God, I do. And I feel the pressure because I got to stand up here. I got to stand up here and I got to say it and I got to believe it and I got to do it. And my kids are watching me, my wife is watching me, and God is watching me. I don't want to let him down, right? I just feel crushed. And when I feel like that, well, John says something about that too. My dear children, I write this to you so that you will not sin. Oof. Okay. I don't want you to miss the mark. Stay on the path for your own sake. Because when you do fall off, when you miss it, it hurts. So do not sin. As far as you can help it, don't miss the mark, because when you do, it's gonna hurt you. And yes, I know. Okay, John, why are you saying this to me? I'm already feeling crushed. I'm feeling it. But then he says, but if anybody does sin, I'm setting the bar high, walk in the light, be honest with God, discover how you are loved, love each other deeper. And when you do this, you'll be on track. But if you do miss the mark, and of course you will, remember this, and here's the healing part. We have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ, the righteous one. The righteous one. We are not perfect, but our mighty Jesus is perfect, and he is righteous. And there's no blemish or blame in him. And we belong to him. He's called me his. He looked us. He looks at me and he says, I love you. I just love you. I love you. Like I look at little Judah when he pees all over the bathroom. He says, I'm sorry, Dad. And I say, I love you. It's okay. He's the righteous one. We belong to him. And he is our ally and helper. So when we miss, we are never buried. We are not defined by any failure. We're not abandoned in that moment because we have an advocate. Jesus doesn't step away when we fall. He steps in. He speaks on our behalf. He reminds the Father or reminds us that we are already loved, already forgiven, already his. So what do we make about sin? What do we do with it? Well, it matters to God. It does. Not because he wants to beat you up or push you out, but because he wants to heal. And it's in that healing where you discover just how deeply that you are loved. And so I want you to try something this week. Just be honest with God. Just be honest. Tell him the spots of your heart that need light and ask him to heal them. And if you don't know how to do that, can I just show you? Can I show you? This is what this looks like for me. And you can stand, and we're just going to pray together. Stand up. Jesus, what an honor it is to be in this place with you today. What an honor it is, Jesus, that I get to talk to you. What an honor it is, Jesus, that I can sit and be in your presence. Because you're God. You are God. And I have done nothing. I can't do anything on my own. And you're God. And I can talk to you. And God, you know me. You know my heart. And I am so broken, God. I am full of pride. There's so much ugliness in my heart, God. There's so many idols in my life, God, and I'm asking you right now, Jesus, to show me, just to use that light that you have, Jesus, to show me so that I can run away from those things and run closer to you. I don't want them, Jesus. I want you. So show me, Jesus. Here's what I know. Jesus, is that as broken as I feel right now, sitting in this church, Lord, you know that this isn't an act, this is how I feel. As broken as I feel, your love is so big, it is so deep, it is so consuming. It never relents. And so I can celebrate you and have confidence in you, God, that as broken as I am, as much as I miss it, and I'm always missing it, you are carrying me, and you see me through eyes of love. So my God, I thank you for that. Because in the knowledge of that, I can stand up and I can move forward daily with joy and confidence, knowing that you don't want to bury me, you don't want to leave me behind, you want to carry me and see me through. And that I walk in your strength, God, and I am not mighty, but you are. And because of your might and faithfulness, I can stand tall, God. And I can worship you with all of my heart. And you don't see me as someone who's broken, you see me as your son. And because of that, God, I walk in your glory. So Jesus, as I prepare for the rest of my day, remind me, God, who I am in light of who you are. And you are everything. You are everything. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen.